makes me smile. But every once in a while, I wanna talk about me, wanna talk about I, wanna talk about number one. Oh my, me, my, what I think, what I like, what I know, what I want, what I see. I like talking about you usually, but occasionally I wanna talk about me. I wanna talk about me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You like a little bit of country?
Yeah. Woo.
That's the only country song I think I like. You won't catch me playing anything else but that one. Well, welcome you guys to Bridge. I'm glad you're here. You guys appreciate the band?
Oh yeah.
They like to tear it up for us every Sunday morning, so we appreciate them. My name's Steve Bentley. If you don't know me, I'm one of the pastors here at the Bridge. You guys are at the Bridge. I was just talking to a couple ladies outside. They're like, this used to be a bingo hall. I said, yeah, now I think it's a bridge club. And so if you're going to play cards, just put the cards away quietly and pretend you knew what you were doing. So we're here for a message and for a time of worship together, spending time together as the body of Christ. And so I encourage you guys to just tune into the worship time, tune into the message. We've been in this series, we've been talking about the one another messages. There's one another statements throughout the New Testament. There's like 50-something of them in there. And it's talking about how we treat one another, how we care for one another, what we do as the church. And the one another is us as a church, and also us taking care of the rest of our community, reaching out to the rest of the people that live around us. And so we've gone through this looking at all kinds of stuff. Last week we were looking at being good to one another. One of the things that we were called to do is to do good to one another, be good to one another. This week we're looking at motivating one another to do good. Motivating one another to do this. So we're going to dig into that some. I know it's easy for me to lose focus. Now, my squirrels are on the floor over here. And sometimes, you guys know, sometimes I get distracted, right?
Yep.
No! No. We call those squirrel moments when I chase after a squirrel. So speaking of squirrel moments, anybody here sore from the crim? Anybody here sore from running the crim? I'm sore from the crim.
Yeah, that's
I'm parked inside the crim, and I had to walk like 4 blocks to get outside of the crim and get picked up so I could go take care of stuff. And so that just, that was too much. I'll tell you, that crim was exhausting. And then watching all those people running by me as I was trying to get across there, I was like, you guys are just killing me. I don't know about anybody else, but the crim just wore me out. So, but that was pretty cool. We had, I don't know, there's thousands and thousands of people that show up for it, so it's kind of cool. So it's easy for me to lose focus, if you can't tell. It's easy for me to get distracted, start worrying about me. And I played that song there, I want to talk about me. And I'll get off track and thinking, I've got to take care of me. I got to watch out for me. Who's watching my back? I got to make sure that I get my own. Anybody go to the dessert table? And you know how you line up for a buffet and they got all that great food, you're getting all that in, great desserts, but you don't have room on your plate, but you're worried that somebody else is going to take all the dessert that you wanted, right? And so you got to scurry back and grab it real quick. You're always worried about yourself. I get worried about myself. I get worried about taking care of myself, and I lose my focus on the things that matter, thinking that I got to take care of me. It's all about me. I want to talk about me. I want to watch out for me. I think a lot of us, we get worried about taking care of ourselves, and we worry about how we can get ahead. And sometimes we even use that as an excuse to step on other people. Like, well, I'm just trying to get ahead. That's what it takes. You ever heard that? You ever done that? That's what it takes. You got to do that. Sometimes you got to step on people. Sometimes you got to do this. You got to do that. We get worried about those kind of things, and we forget about team effort. We think only about ourselves. And so I want to look at some disciples that were having a similar type of struggle, and we're going to go from that and start looking at the motivating one another. But these disciples kind of lost their focus. They kind of forgot they're part of a team. They kind of forgot that they're one body, one church, that what they were supposed to be about. So they come and talk to Jesus in Mark chapter 10. It says, then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came over and spoke to him, talking to Jesus. It said, teacher, they said, we want you to do us a favor. You hear anybody do that to you? Like, will you do me a favor? It depends on what the favor is. I'm not giving you a blank check. It says, what is your request, he asked. They replied, when you sit on your glorious throne, we want to sit in places of honor next to you. One on your right, and the other on your left. And Jesus said to them, you don't know what you're asking. Now, when Jesus was in his full glory and did all his work, do you remember where that was at? Where was he when he did his major work for us? On the cross, right? Who was on his right and his left? There were 2 thieves that were hanging on the cross next to him, right? These guys don't even know what they're asking for. He says, you don't even know what you're asking. He says, are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I'm about to drink? Are you able to be baptized with a baptism of suffering I must be baptized with? Oh yes, they replied. Now they're looking at a different thought and process. Oh yes, we're able. And Jesus told them, you will indeed drink from my bitter cup and be baptized in my baptism of suffering. If you look and go read it in history, you'll see that those disciples suffered a lot. Some of them were crucified, just like Jesus was. Some of them were boiled in oil, and some of them, there's some great, just horrible things that happened to them, all in the name of serving Christ, of sharing the good news that Jesus died for our sins. And so they did share in his suffering. He says, but I have no right to say who will sit on my right or my left. God has prepared those places for the ones he's chosen. And when the 10 other disciples heard what James and John had asked, they were indignant. You ever have that? Somebody that's supposed to be on your team, right? Oh, another squirrel. See these trophies? Our softball team won those. We have a team that every year they play in different tournaments, and they brought home these trophies. And I think they got one more tournament they're going to be doing, so hopefully they'll give us another trophy. But they go out there and have a good time, and hopefully they represent us well. So that's cool. We appreciate them. But they forgot they were on a team. You ever had that happen? Somebody forgets they're on the team with you, and they go behind and kind of stab you in the back. Ever happened to you? Yeah, it's not fun, right? And that's what these disciples are indignant. They're upset. They're like, so Jesus called them all together and he said, you know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you it will be different. He's talking about us, talking about the church. Among you it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For even the Son of Man, and he's talking about Jesus, talking about himself, came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. And so he's got these people campaigning. They want to have this special seat of honor with Jesus. And then you got the other ones that are indignant and like, I can't believe they went behind her back and tried to do this. And Jesus is like, listen, you guys are not understanding. Here's your way to greatness. Serve. Here's your way to be strong. Don't worry about your place. God has all those things figured out. Just serve others. Stay humble. Lead by serving. And so Jesus is kind of correcting them on that. But this is kind of representative. We all struggle with that. Worrying about my place, worrying about what I got, what's going to happen to me, how am I going to take care of it, who's watching out for me, who's going to take care of me, I got to take care of me. And we get all caught up in that. We get caught up in trying to take care of ourselves. Hebrews chapter 10, this is our key verse, this is what we're talking about. It says, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works, and let us not neglect our meeting together. This is our key verse for this message. Motivate one another to acts of love and good works. It's us being the church together. Now, last week we talked about doing good to one another. This week we're talking about motivating one another to do those very things, to dig into that, encouraging one another, motivating the best things in life. Where else do you go in life that you have people motivating you to do acts of love? And that last part of that passage was, let us not neglect our meeting together. Why do we come together as church? Because coming to church, guess what? It doesn't make you a Christian. It doesn't get you into heaven. Jesus took care of that stuff on the cross. And you don't have to go to church. You may have heard people say, you may have even thought of that. Well, I don't have to go to church. And you don't. Where else do you go in life, though, that people are pointing you to God? You show up to work, are they doing that? Some of you have some bosses that are like, that can be cool, can be annoying. But you might have a good work environment. Most of us, you don't get pointed to God when you go to work. When you go to the grocery store, you don't get pointed to God. Sometimes people give you a one-way sign, you're driving down the road and you think they're pointing to heaven. I gotta tell you, that's not what they meant. I'll explain it to you later, you come catch me, I'll tell you what's going on. But, you don't run into this much in life. There's not many places that people are gonna point you towards God. They're gonna point you to the best in the world. That are gonna try and motivate you, encourage you, comfort you, bear your burdens. Where do you find that unless you hire a therapist, right? You can find that being a part of the church, showing up together. There's something powerful about us coming together, meeting together, sharing with one another, encouraging one another, worshiping together, learning together. Just don't neglect that. It's so important to not neglect it, to stay on track with it. And this passage of Scripture is all about us serving one another by motivating one another. And here's another passage that kind of breaks it down a little bit more. It talks about how do we do that? How do we motivate? How do we serve? In Romans chapter 12 says, don't just pretend to love others. Really love them. Just think about that part. Don't just pretend to love others. You ever been somewhere where they pretend to love you? You can tell it's fake, right? It's saccharin. It's like margarine. It's not. It's like that generic brand chocolate syrup. Oh. It's just nasty. It's not right. It's got to be Hershey's. And so we're talking about real Hershey's love. We're not talking about this pretending to love others. And I was talking to somebody else who they were talking about a church that they were part of, and they were kind of analyzing it. And you'd walk in and you think that church is really friendly. They'd hug each other, they'd talk to each other, but they would totally neglect anybody new that came in. You know, it's like they had their own clique thing going. And so we're talking about truly loving. Don't just pretend to love others, really love them. And remember, we talk about love here a lot. Love is not about a feeling. I don't know about you, I struggle to control my feelings. They just happen, you know? Ever happen to you? They just happen. But I can control my actions. I can do actions of love, whether I feel it or not. And one of the things I found, and the Bible teaches this, is if you keep doing actions of love, usually your heart starts to change towards that person. You know, you have someone you have an issue with that you don't like, pray for them. If you can't pray for them yet, pray that God will help you to be able to pray for them. He'll do a work in your heart, and it's a powerful thing. You know, this loving people. So don't just pretend to love others, really love them. Not how you feel, but in your actions. Hate what is wrong. Hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. Take delight in honoring each other. And we did a message on that, honor one another. Take delight in that. You know, think about that. Where you can build somebody up. How good does that feel? I've talked a lot of times about you come away from a conversation with somebody and you can come away thinking they're the best thing in the world, or you can come away thinking you're the best thing in the world. And I'll tell you, that's powerful. If you can talk to somebody when they walk away from you, they're floating on a cloud because they feel so good about themselves. That's way better than having them go away thinking you're awesome. But we always play that game. We want to fall in that trap. I got to talk about how good I am. Let's talk about me, right? That song, that's why I picked that song. And we get so focused on that. Man, honoring one another, building one another up, loving one another. Look at what that does and how powerful it is. It says, never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. Now you take that passage of scripture right there. Just imagine if we build a church that does this. Just imagine if we build a church that does this passage of scripture. Whoa, what would that look like? We could change the world. Imagine what would happen if we had a church like that. This is how we can serve one another, how we can motivate one another to acts of love and good works. I got another quick video clip I want you to watch that kind of explains this.
Hold against your cheek.
I will.
You give me a gift, bam, thank you note. You invite me somewhere, pow, RSVP. You do me a favor, wham, favor returned. Do not test my politeness.
And then I tried to find more of that clip. Those two were having a competition. They kept doing stuff for each other, kept doing favors for each other because they didn't want to be in debt to one another. And they go through that whole scene. But that concept of trying to outdo each other in honoring one another. Try to outdo each other and motivate each other. Try to outdo each other and loving each other. Just imagine what that looks like, what we could do with that, how powerful that could be if we stopped worrying about ourselves and we started really putting ourselves out there, loving other people, serving them, motivating them. And the idea is that when we love others, we inspire them to love. You know, has it ever happened to you? You get something special happens to you and you want to do that for somebody else, right? It's a cool thing to do. Last week we were looking at that pay it forward concept, and good acts inspire more good acts. The problem is we do tend to get caught up in our own worries about taking care of ourselves, and the chain is often broken. There was a story somewhere down south. They had I think it was like a Starbucks or a Tim Hortons or something, and somebody did a pay it forward thing, or a random act of kindness. They came in and they were going through the drive-thru, and they paid for the person behind them. So the person behind them paid for the person behind them. And this went on for like days and days this went on. Somebody finally broke the chain though. Somebody finally said, oh, that's awesome, thanks, and left. Didn't pay for anybody behind them. That's why we have to keep on doing it though, because the chain does get broken. That's where we step in doing acts of love and good works to inspire and motivate others. The cycle only breaks down if we stop. Now somebody else might not carry it forward. Somebody else might be so hurting, so messed up, so caught up in worries and everything that they take the good works, the good acts, the love, and they don't share it. But that's why we do it again, and we do it again. and we do it again. And if we keep doing that, we can actually start to change our community. We can change ourselves. And I talked about this last week, and I talk about it all the time. Our secret weapon here at the Bridge is service. We try to get you plugged in, serving somewhere as quick as we can. Find a place to serve. Find something to do. Our Family Fun Days, that big event, it needs a couple hundred volunteers. And there's a volunteer sheet back there in the volunteer zone. You can sign up on it. You can put down what you want to do, or you can put down I'll do whatever, or I don't know, just I'd like to help. But when we get all those people volunteering, it changes us. It does way more for us than it does for our community, because we become more Christ-like. We become the church, Jesus, to our community. It's a powerful thing. So do you worry about yourself rather than looking to serve others? Do you get caught up in taking care of yourself, putting yourself in front of others? Will you consider motivating others by serving them? Will you join us in changing our community by being servant leaders, by loving others, by putting others first, by thinking about their needs? A lot of times, if you want to pay for the person behind you for their meal, that means you didn't get to buy your meal. A lot of times doing that extra act of service means that you can't take care of something you need to take care of. And that's okay. That's that true sacrifice. That's really putting it out there, loving someone. Now, that isn't about being unhealthy, and that's a whole other thing. We got classes that will teach you boundaries and all kinds of other healthy stuff that you can sign up for. It's not about getting unhealthy out there, but it is about loving others, truly loving others. Don't just pretend. Truly love others. When we get this right, we follow this call to motivate others by being Jesus to them, we can really inspire our community. And it really works. Some of you guys might be new here, some of you have been here for a while, you might not know it. Just in a few years, we're coming up on our 6th birthday here at the Bridge. That's what's going to be this fall. And our name is out there. People know about us because of you. Because of you guys that have gone that extra mile. You stepped out there. You've done things to serve. You've made sacrifices. It's because we're trying to truly follow what Jesus taught and not just be caught up in what we do here as a social club. It's about what we do out there is what matters. That's where it's powerful. As we begin to apply these one another messages and these verses to our lives, we will become the church that Jesus called us to be. So I want you guys to know today, that losing our focus and motivation, it will make us ineffectual. It makes us where we don't make a difference. We can't change the world around us. We get all focused on ourselves instead of what we're supposed to be, and we lose our motivation. What we want you to do this week is to motivate 5 people to love and good works by doing that very thing. Try to find 5 people, which means you might have to do it for 10. But 5 people that you can motivate because you did something, you invested in them, you did something in their life, you touched them in a special way, and you inspired them. You motivated them to do something good in their life, to touch other people. So that's our challenge to you this week, is to motivate 5 other people to love and to good works by you serving them, by you being a servant leader in their life. Let me pray for you. Father, we just thank you so much for your word to us today, for the challenges that you have put in front of us as we go through this one another series, Lord, as we dig into this. Lord, I ask that you will help each one of us here to rise up to that challenge in your strength, knowing that you got this, Lord. That I know sometimes Lord, it's going to backfire, but we know that you've got our back in this. That we don't need to worry about ourselves. Help us to really put it out there, Lord, to love people in truth, not just pretending. To really reach out and make a difference. To motivate the people around us to do good works. To not be like so many times and places we've seen where people are just trying to drag each other down. Help us, Lord, to be a people that lift people up, that motivate them to good works and to love. Lord, we want to be used by you to change our community, to make a difference. And Lord, I pray that you will help us do it this week to inspire and motivate 5 people, each one of us, 5 people in our lives. Lord, we're talking 1,000 people being impacted this week. I just pray that you will do that in and through us. Lord, I pray you do this now as we continue to worship and praise you. Use the band, use the musicians that are up here, Lord, to just lead us into that strong, powerful connection with you. As in Jesus' name we pray.